Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and this week we are doing all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. So, we are going to continue with the 2007 animated action adventure comedy family fantasy sci-fi film TMNT. Here is your trivia question for today. What is the name of Raphael's vigilante persona? The answer will be at the end of this video. The movie starts off in an ancient time where two warring factions are fighting over a portal that can open up a rift to a parallel universe. By opening this portal, it will release the 13 ghosts of Scooby Doo. Just kidding. It will actually release 13 monsters. But in exchange, the person who does so will gain immortality. Now, the person who does it is a warlord named Yotel. And the unfortunate sacrifice he gives for this immortality is that his brothers and sister are turned into stone statues forever. Now we jump ahead to the modern day, where our heroes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, have not been together in quite some time. Leonardo has fled to Central America to do some training and hopefully become the leader he was meant to be. Donatello has shifted his focus into doing tech support. Michelangelo is now a mascot for kids' birthday parties, and Raphael has become a secret vigilante. Oh, also Splinter is there as well, and for some reason he's just allowing the team to just fall apart. April O'Neil is also in the film, but she's keeping herself quite busy, as she's actually visiting Central America, not only to try to talk Leonardo into coming back, but also to transport a statue for a wealthy collector. Now, once we get back to New York, we get to see Casey Jones is there, and he's actually dating and living with April. Now, the collector that April is bringing the statue back to is named Max Winters, and is totally not the immortal guy from the beginning of the film. Actually, he definitely is. And he's apparently also working along with the Foot, including their current leader, Karai, as there is no sign of the Shredder. Now, once everyone has left Winter's place, we watch as he brings all four of the statues together. And then we watch as he brings all four of them back to life. Now, Winters sends out his brothers and sister to go retrieve the 13 monsters for whatever nefarious plan that he has. So, of course, now the real question becomes, can our recently reunited team of heroes save the day? Kevin Monroe was the director for this film, but did you happen to know that the director was almost John Woo? Now, Peter Laird, along with director Kevin Monroe, wrote the script for this film. Peter Laird is, of course, one half of the duo that created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, along with Kevin Eastman. There continues to be a bit of discussion back and forth as to whether or not this film is a continuation of the original trilogy. Now, it's been stated that it probably is not, but if you do notice in some of the memorabilia that Splinter has, there are references to the past movies, especially the third film. From the third film, you can see pieces of armor that the turtles were wearing. You can also see Lord Norinaga's helmet and armor. There's Walker's hat. There is, of course, the Time Scepter as well. From the second film, you can see the canister of ooze. However, though, it does not say TGRI, it instead says TCRI like in the comics. And last but not least, there is, of course, Shredder's helmet. In the movie, April O'Neil wears a yellow jumpsuit, and she also learns ninjutsu. This can technically be references to both the original 80s cartoon and the early 2000s one. This is the first feature film debut of Karai. For being the first animated feature film for the Turtles, they chose a really good cast in my opinion. Although if you look at some of the options, it almost feels like the casting department was throwing darts at a board. The character of Splinter was voiced by Mako. Unfortunately, Mako passed away before the film actually came out. The other actors that were up for the role of Splinter were Andy Garcia, Edward James Olmos, Kurt Russell, Robert Patrick, Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Rutger Hauer, Rob Zombie, Patrick Warburton, and even Jackie Chan. The funny thing about Jackie Chan possibly being a part of it is that he would eventually do the voice of Splinter for the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. April O'Neil is voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, but she was almost voiced by Shannon Doherty, Kelly Craig, E.G. Daly, Anne Hathaway, Elizabeth Mitchell, Zoe Deschanel, Rachel McAdams, Lena Headey, Lacey Chabert, and even Megan Fox. Megan Fox would, of course, eventually go on to play the live action April in the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. The character of Casey Jones was voiced by Chris Evans, but it also could have been Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Shia LaBeouf, Jeff Fahey, Sebastian Stan, Jesus Ochoa, Andy Samberg, Kiefer Sutherland, Chris Pratt, Josh Peck, or even Seth Rogen. Josh Peck would actually go on to voice Casey Jones in the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles cartoon. Also, Seth Rogen would eventually go on to produce Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Leonardo was voiced by James Arnold Taylor, but it also could have been Chris Pine, Max Thoreau, Casey Affleck, or Brad Garrett. Brad Garrett would go on to voice Krang in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows movie. Donatello was voiced by Mitchell Whitfield, but it also could have been Jesper Christensen, Jesse Eisenberg, Kevin Spacey, Paulo Pyers, Dax Shepard, or even Frank Stallone. Michelangelo was voiced by Mikey Kelly, but it also could have been Jonah Hill, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, or Adam Devine. Raphael was voiced by Nolan North, but it also could have been Bob Hoskins, Luke Wilson, Ian Holm, Channing Tatum, Paul Schneider, Ryan Gosling, David Thornton, and Christopher Von Uckerman. Max Winters, who is so wonderfully played by Patrick Stewart, also could have been George Lopez, Gabriel Byrne, Justin Whalen, Adrian Brody, or John Travolta. Karai, played by Ziyi Zhang, also could have been Joanna Di Verona, Natalie Portman, Jennifer Tilly, Carla Gugino, Dee Wallace, Michelle Yeoh, Shiri Appleby, Mila Jovovich, Hannah Marks, or Rebecca Hall. General Serpienti, played by Paula Mattioli, could have also been Shelley Duvall, Terry Hatcher, Jennifer Saunders, Kathy Moriarty, or even Judith Hoag. Judith Hoag, of course, played the original April in the 1990 film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Here's one that I was surprised at so many possibilities. Kevin Smith was the diner cook, but it also could have been Glenn Shaddix, Keone Young, Hector Elizondo, Joel McCrary, or Cheech Marin. If you didn't know, the narrator was actually Lawrence Fishburne. Jim Cummings did additional voices for the film, but he's also one of the only ones who actually was a voiceover actor in the original 80s cartoon. He actually did the voices for Genghis Frog, Leatherhead, and sometimes an alternate for Shredder. Since they had already done time travel in the last live action film, there was talks of doing it in this one as well, where they would have gone back to the ancient Mayans and dealt with some evil aliens. They did actually have plans for 2 more sequels as well. In the second one, it would have dealt with the saga called City at War. This is where Michelangelo would have felt like the odd man out and joined the Foot Clan donning a black mask. Meanwhile, the other turtles would have traveled to Japan to find Karai, the Shredder would have returned, and a possibility of the Rat King making an appearance. They even had plans for a third film where it would have featured the Triceratons, the Technodrome arriving from Dimension X, with Donatello unfortunately having a hand in that, and also the Commander Mozar character with hopefully Michael Clark Duncan as the voice. Unfortunately, all of that stayed in developmental hell, so Peter Laird ended up selling the rights to Nickelodeon in 2009. So all in all, when it comes to the film TMNT, I thought it was really good, especially for being an animated one when they had only been making live action. So I think I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of the episode, what is the name of Raphael's vigilante persona? Raphael fights crime as the Night Watcher. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. If there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Goodbye.